Hello everyone, I'm your own lawyer Puneet Dabra. Today I'm gonna tell you how to do your own uncontested divorce in BC. So let's get started. So let's start with the definition of divorce. So divorce is a legal procedure that brings a marriage to an end, and after the court grants a divorce order, if no appeal is filed, the divorce becomes automatically finalized after 31 days. So there are two different ways to file a divorce. The first one is the sole application, where only one spouse files for the divorce, and the second one is joint application, where both the spouses files for a single joint application. This video primarily addresses the joint application process, but I will also cover some key points if you are considering the sole application route. So there are certain conditions that must be fulfilled before you start your divorce proceedings. These are that you are applying for your divorce in the province of BC, and you and your spouse both agree about getting a divorce, and you already have a written agreement or a court order with regards to your parenting time, your child support, spousal support, or how to divide your property and debt, or if there is any other family law issue, there must be a written agreement or a court order in respect to that. And one of you has lived in BC for at least 1 year right before you start your divorce and is living in BC when you start the divorce proceedings. And the next one is you have been separated for at least 1 year. It also means that if you are living in the same household, you still be considered as you are living separate from your spouse, and you are not applying for your divorce on the basis of cruelty or adultery. So these are the documents that you would need to start your joint application for divorce. And I have provided the links to these documents in the description of this video. And also remember that you would need your original marriage certificate to start your joint application. And if you were unable to provide the original marriage certificate, then you would have to write a reason that why you are not able to provide your original marriage certificate with your application. And if you were married outside Canada and your marriage certificate is not in English, then in addition to your original marriage certificate, you would also need a certified translation of that marriage certificate to go with your application. So this is a basic step-by-step process for doing your joint application for divorce. First of all, you will choose a Supreme Court location which is nearest to you, and if you have a separation agreement, then you can start your application by filing your separation agreement at your chosen Supreme Court registry. So when you file that separation agreement, the registry will provide you a file number, and you will use that file number for all the other forms that you will need to file for your divorce application. Next up is you will fill out a notice of joint family claim and a requisition form, and then you will go online and register for divorce proceedings using an online form. Then you will file all these forms at the same Supreme Court registry where you submitted your separation agreement. Now on to the next steps. You will need to complete an affidavit for death order divorce along with another requisition form. Then you can provide your information on the certificate of pleadings, and then finally you will draft a final divorce order. And once you are done with all these forms, you can file them all together back at the same Supreme Court registry. I will explain all these steps in more detail later in this video. So to start your divorce proceedings, you can start it either by filing a separation agreement or by filing a notice of joint family claim. So if you started by filing a separation agreement, your court fee would be $30, and if you started by filing a notice of joint family claim, then the court fee would be $200. So that way you will save $170 on your court fees. Additionally, your separation agreement could deal with your family law issues as well. So now I will discuss all the steps in more detail. First of all, I will start with how to file your separation agreement. So to file your separation agreement, you will need 3 copies of your signed separation agreement along with the requisition form, which is Form F17.1. I have provided the link to this form in the description of this video. In the requisition form, here's what you will do. First of all, you will identify yourself as claimant number 1 and put your name beside the box where it says claimant number 1, and specify your spouse name as claimant number 2 and put your spouse name beside the box where it says claimant number 2, and tick the box confirming that there are no ongoing court proceedings involving the parties mentioned in the agreement, and then you will click the generate form button. Once you hit that button, the form will expand, generating additional pages. On these pages, you will fill in your details and you will sign the form. And then your form is now ready to be filed at your chosen Supreme Court location. So after starting your divorce proceedings by filing your separation agreement, you will file 2 more documents. The first one is Notice of Joint Family Claim, that is in Form F1, and second, you will register for your divorce proceedings online. And I will discuss about these steps in more detail. So this is the Notice of Joint Family Claim. It's a Form F1, and I have provided a link to this form in the description of this video. First of all, we will start with the file number. We'll put the file number here. This would be the same file number that you received from the court registry when you filed your separation agreement. And then from this drop-down menu, you will select the location of the court where you started your proceeding by filing your separation agreement. For the next part, you will put your name and your spouse name under the claimant number 1 and claimant number 2 fields, and then you will click at the address and put your address and then close it, and then you will click here at the address, and then you will put your spouse address and then you will close it. And then for the filing party, whoever is going to the court to file this notice of joint family claim, you will check the box beside their name. If you both are going to file this notice of joint family claim together, then you will click this box beside the name of both of the claimant number 1 and claimant number 2. For the relationship history, first of all, you will click here and you will provide the date when you begin to live together in a marriage-like relationship. And then you will click here and provide the date of the marriage and the place of the marriage. That should be the same as on your marriage certificate. And then you will click here and then you will provide the date of your separation, and these 2 boxes you will leave them blank. So for the next part, that is the divorce, you will click here. It says that claimant number 1 and claimant number 2 are asking for a divorce order, and then you will provide your information in these boxes. First one is your date of birth, your spouse date of birth, and then your habitual resident in BC since. You will provide the date when you started living in BC, and same thing for your spouse. And then your surname at birth and your spouse surname at birth, and surname immediately before marriage for yourself and for your spouse, and then marital status immediately before marriage for both of you. Just go to this drop-down menu and select if it is never married, divorced, or widowed. Same thing for your spouse. And for the place of marriage, you will put your information here. And if your place of marriage is outside Canada or outside US, you will click here, and then you will provide the name of the state or province and the name of the country. And next is the ground for claiming for divorce. So you will click here, that is, divorce is claimed as a result of having lived separate and apart. And then you will click here and provide the date of separation. This should be the same date as we provided before, this date. This should be the same separation date, and you can put that date here. And then you will click here. Claimant number 1 and claimant number 2 have not lived together since then, that is since your separation date. And then you will click here. There is no possibility of reconciliation, and then you will click here as well. It says that I do not know about and I am not involved in any arrangement to make up or to hide evidence or to deceive the court to obtain a divorce. So for proof of marriage, so you will provide a original marriage certificate to the court registry along with your notice of joint family claim. So you will click here. It says that a marriage certificate has been filed. So if your marriage certificate is not in English, then you have to provide a certified translation of the same. So you will click this drop down menu and select this and translation. So in case if you are unable to provide the certificate of marriage right now, then you will click here and provide the reason why you are unable to provide the certificate of marriage right now. And if it is impossible to obtain a certificate of marriage, then you will click here and provide the reason that why it is impossible to obtain a certificate of marriage. So next up is the information about your children. So this video is basically about the couples who do not have any children or any property or debt issues. So you will click here that there are no children of marriage, but in case if you have children of marriage, then you will click here and provide their information. That is their full name, their date of birth, and currently whom they are residing with. So if you have children, then there should be some parenting arrangements. So you will click here and you will provide information about the parenting time in this section here. So you will put the proposed order about the parenting, that how you want the parenting to be after getting the divorce. So same thing here, you will click here. If you are asking for, one of you is asking for child support, then you will provide the proposed order about the child support in this blank space here. Same thing with the spousal support. If either of you is asking for spousal support, then you will click here and provide the proposed order about the spousal support in this blank space. So this is the property claim. If you're asking for dividing the property, then you will first click here. If you're asking to divide the property in equal shares, then you will click here that an equal division of family property and family debt. If you want that the property should be divided unequally, then you will click here and provide the proposed division of your property and family debts. Then you will just leave these blank, and then here on the paragraph number 11, you will provide the name and the address of service of claimant number 1. Same thing with the claimant number 2, provide the name and address of the claimant number 2. So fax and email are optional, but I would recommend that you at least provide an email address. So if the court registry would like to contact you, so they can conveniently contact you via email. So next thing is certificates. So as you are doing this notice of joint family claim yourself without a lawyer, so you just need to click on the party certificate, and you can leave this legal advisor certificate blank. And same thing with the claimant number 2, you will click party certificate, and then that's it. So you will click here to print form, and this will generate additional pages to this form, and wherever necessary you can sign the form, and wherever necessary you can put your name, and then you can print the form and take it to your chosen Supreme Court registry. So for online registration of your divorce proceedings, you will Google registration of divorce proceedings and click the first link. When you're on this page, you'll just go down, and where it says province, you will put British Columbia, and for your date of application you will put the date when you filed your notice of joint family claim, and then you will put your date of marriage. This should be the same date as on your certificate of marriage, and this is a joint application. Then you will put applicant as joint applicant, and then you can specify your gender if you wish to, and then you will put your first name and last name, and then you will put your date of birth. Same thing you will do with the joint applicant number 2. So you will put joint applicant here and specify their gender, and then you will put their first name, their last name, and their date of birth, and then you will put the date when you're going to sign this form. That should be today's date. So then you will print this form, and on that form you will see a QR code, and you will take that form along with all of the documents to the court registry. So after filing your notice of joint family claim and doing your online registration for divorce, so the next steps would be, first of all, you will do an affidavit for desk order divorce, that is form F38. Alongside that, you will do a requisition form, that is form F35, and then you will provide your information on a certificate of pleadings, that is form F36, and finally you will draft a final order, that is form F52. And I have provided links to these forms in the description of this video. Now I will talk about let's start forms with the affidavit for desk order divorce. It is form F38. So first of all, you will put yourself as claimant number 1 and put your name here, and for your spouse you will put claimant number 2 and put their name here, and on the second paragraph you will put claimant number 1 and claimant number 2. So as you are filing your certificate of marriage, so for the third paragraph you will say yes, and for the grounds of divorce you will choose the first option. It says that the ground for divorce are separation for more than 1 year. You will select that. So if you have any children, you will select the number of children from this drop down menu, otherwise just leave it as 0. And if you're making any name changes to your name or your children name, then you can select the option here. If you're not changing your name or your children name, then you will just leave it at no name changes, and then you will hit generate form. When you hit the generate form button, it will add additional pages to this PDF file, and in that PDF file you can mention the information about your children if you have any. Otherwise you can just print it out. And for the next part, you will do a requisition. For requisition, it is form F35. First of all, you will put the file number here. That should be the same file number that you put on your notice of joint family claim. And then from this drop down menu, you will select the location of the court where you filed your separation agreement and where you file your notice of joint family claim. It should be the same location. And for this one, it is the same thing. You will choose yourself as claimant number 1 and put your full name here. And for your spouse, you will put claimant number 2 and put their name here. And if you go down, so you will see file by. You can write whoever is going to file these forms to the court registry. Otherwise, if you both are going and both are filing these forms together, then you can write your name and your spouse name, and write that your name and then claimant number 1, your spouse name, and then claimant number 2. So for the next part, so along with this requisition, you are filing a draft of the order sought. So you will click here, and you are filing a certificate of pleadings. You will click here, and the filing fees, you will click here. And if you go to the second page, you will also click here, that is affidavit in form F38. And you will go down, and as you both are filing these forms together, you will hit this add signature button, and you both will sign and date, and you will click party on both those signatures. So this is it. So you can now print this form and take it to the registry along with other documents. So for the next thing, for the certificate of pleadings, you will just put your information, that is the file number, the court location, and claimant number 1, your name, and claimant number 2, your spouse name, and leave this thing blank for the registry staff. And you can just print it out and take it with all other documents. So the final part is draft a final order. So here you will select claimant number 1 and put your name, and for the second part you will click claimant number 2, put your spouse name, and for the second paragraph you will select one of the following option before a judge of the court. And then for the third part, when you click here, it will autofill. As you selected a judge of the court, it will autofill the third paragraph. So for the fourth paragraph, it says, does this order include an order for divorce? You will say yes to this question, and it will autofill this information that this divorce is to take effect on the 31st day after the date of this order. So for the terms of other orders, if you have children or if you are dividing your property and debt, then you will definitely choose yes for that, because there are different terms of the order. Otherwise, just leave it at no. And same thing with the paragraph number 6. If there are children and if you are dividing your property and debt, then you will select how many terms you want in the order, about the parenting, about child support, about spousal support, about your property and debt division. So you can choose the terms of the order accordingly. But if you do not have any family issues like that, you can leave it at 0. And for the 7th paragraph, you will select 2, as you and your spouse both are signing this final order, and then you will hit generate form. And this is how you fill out these forms, and you can make 3 copies of each form and take it to the registry. So this is just an approximate of how much it's going to cost you to file your divorce application. First of all, when you start your divorce proceedings by filing your separation agreement, the court fee to file your separation agreement would be $30. And the next step is registration of divorce proceedings. That is an online form. To file that form, the court fee would be $10. And the next step is when you file your application for divorce, that is your notice of joint family claim. When you file that, the court fee to file that is $80. And finally, when you file your affidavit, that is the affidavit for desk order divorce, you would need to swear or affirm the affidavit, and the court registry can do it for you, and they will charge you approximately $40 for that. So the total fees would be around $160 for all the forms, but this is just an approximate. You can check for the actual cost with the registry staff when you go to court to file your documents. So for the final steps, when you file all the documents to the court registry, you will check with the court registry that how much time it is taking to get your desk order divorce. It varies according to the court traffic, but usually it takes 2 to 3 months to get your final divorce order. And you can pick up your divorce order when it is signed by the judge. But keep in mind that your divorce will only be deemed final once 31 days have passed since the judge signed the order.
Thank you for
And then,
watching the
if you
video.
want to, you can apply
Please
for your
remember, this
certificate of
video is
divorce.
only for the purpose of information and nothing should be considered as legal advice. If you still have any question, you can call me directly on my cell phone or you can write me an email. Thanks again.